I will share with you the entire thinking system that has helped me to get to International Master title, 2400 FIDE rating, as well as a bunch of my students to hit their desired goal of 2000 ELO. So it all starts from the very beginning, from the very first moves. And in the opening, your focus should be on the three things. You need to fight for the center. This is what I did with those moves. Then you need to bring all of your pieces into the game. That is what I am doing now. In this case, we are going to play the Queen's Gambit declined here with the move Bishop G5. But this video is not about opening. The opening is not that important at this level. It's really overestimated. But the important part is that you understand deeply the ideas of the opening, because it helps you first to save so much time and to know what to do in the middle game. So don't get me wrong here. I'm saying that you have to cut the time that you waste on watching those YouTube opening traps videos. This is just a waste of time. It doesn't make you a stronger chess player. You're just hoping that your opponent is gonna blunder some stuff, and maybe he will, but you artificially get a little bit more of rating points, but you're going to lose it afterwards because you haven't improved truly, genuinely your chess. And so what I focus on is to help you to think the right way. It's going to make the game of chess so much easier for you, and it's going to genuinely improve your chess level, make you such a stronger chess player, and finally you're going to be able to join the top 1% of all of the chess players. So you see, I'm bringing all of my pieces into the game, and not just you know, for the sake of saying I'm a good guy, I have developed my pieces, but also to really get a job. You don't want to have any unemployment going on in your camp. You want every single piece to have a useful function to perform. For example, I can, and the best case scenario, like, of course it happens that your opponent is creating threats. That is what a strong opponent will do. By the way, we are playing against 2,600 rated opponent on chess.com, which means if you're able to beat this guy, you are ready to join the top 1% of the chess players. And so the best kind of moves that I want you to make is so-called double or multi-purpose moves. When he creates a threat, but I deal with that threat, and at the same time, I do something useful for myself. I improve my development. I bring yet another piece to the game. And now that gives me additional opportunities. The more pieces you develop, the more opportunities you're gonna get. For example, I can just play the move f3. That would kick the bishop away, and then I can bring my knight all the way to f4 to attack the bishop wherever it goes, h5 or e6. And there is no way he can save it. Yes, he can play, if he goes here, the move g5, forking my pieces, but I can still take it. And yes, I think that is great for me. And I do all of that with the tempo. You always want to win as many tempi as possible. Yeah, now I definitely can play that, because after g5 I take and attack the queen. And otherwise, I would be happy to get a pair of bishops in the open position. He does that. Wow. But what about, like, I can even play bishop g6 check. Doesn't matter how dangerous the threat of your opponent might be, always think first, what are your most active opportunities? Please, if you take away one thing, do that. Because most of the people just completely miss their best chances because they don't start considering their options from the most active opportunities: checks, captures, and threats. CCT system. Please remember it and truly, genuinely use it every single move. Even if he attacks my bishop, I can play here bishop to g6 check, which is gonna stop him from castle. Yes, he can make his castle artificially, and probably he should, but still that's gonna create some problems for him. I can, for example, play, yeah, maybe bishop g3 was actually better to stop him from playing e5. But okay, opening up the position with the weakened king is also not such a great idea. And I need, okay, now he makes sure that I go away, but he did worsen his position as well. He went back with his piece, making it worse. For example, the knight is not controlling the e5 square, which limits his potential. And also he is breaking the connection between his major pieces. That is something you never want to do. So he prepares a counterplay. Again, it does not matter. Absolutely doesn't matter how great you think your position is, you still have to think about your opponent's ideas. Every single time your opponent makes a move, try to think what is the idea behind that move, what he wants to achieve. Even if there is no threat and it seems like he is just bringing his rook into the game. Think, why exactly here? Why exactly this rook? What he wants to achieve? Well, he wants to play c5 because his rook is on the same file as my queen now and he wants to take advantage of that. What do I do with my king? This is not such an easy question to answer because I think I would be happy to castle here so that I attack all in over here. But yeah, he prepares some attack. I should be careful about that. Yet I still want to do it. I want to get to my opponent's king. I mean, the second choice was this move e4 to attack in the center, but I thought he's gonna take it and then get the g4 square for his knight, play c5 as well. I'm not a big fan of that. Now I want to take, I want to exchange those rooks, and afterwards I want to probably castle and bring my second rook to h1 and to attack the king. Let's do that. Remember, I have a pair of bishops, which is a huge thing that's gonna help me to attack. The only thing I do regret is that this bishop is not on g3. I basically wasted a tempo. Although, maybe in that case he would play bishop d3 and just exchange those bishops, whereas now it's not possible and they can use it to create additional problems for him. So far, yes, he's trying to create his own threats, which he should do, of course, but let's see who is going to be the first one, because I want to play... Yeah, I have a choice. I can go here and attack that pawn immediately, or I can go there, which does not create any immediate threat, but I want to bring my bishop there. Although maybe it's not that dangerous because, yeah, he can just do that, attack my bishop and protect that knight. That move does create an immediate threat. First of all, the threat from my opponent, he doesn't want to take because I will take it back, but maybe he wants that move, and that is really, really annoying, I have to say. Maybe I do play king to b1, and after bishop to b4, I just have the move rook c1, or even bishop to e1 and then a3. Yes, so king b1 is a very useful move, prophylaxis. So often when you do the long castles, then the next move, or in a bit of moves, you play king to b1 or king to b8 if you are black, so that the c file is not that weak. He does go for that, and maybe I do play that because, like, I want to make him exchange or go backwards. I like it so much. Yes, that weakens that pawn, but I can even relocate my queen over there if you play something like queen to b6. Queen to b6 was a really good idea because it stops my plan of a3. You always want to understand your opponent's plan and try to stop it. I think in this case it wasn't clear for my opponent what is my idea. That is why he didn't even think about the move. Queen to b6, he wanted maybe to bring the knight here, but it's too slow because I'm the first one. I immediately create that threat, and yeah, maybe not immediately. I have some discover opportunities, like if the bishop goes back, knight to d5 or knight d4, because my queen is also hanging, but I can just remove that queen first, and maybe somewhere, well, here there wouldn't be any discover attack anymore. Maybe here, because that pawn is a huge weakness. And afterwards, this knight is ready to jump. That would create multiple threats. Let's see where he goes with his bishop. By the way, my opponent is playing very, very fast, and that's wrong. You have to be reasonable with your time. Of course, you don't want to get into time trouble when, even if your position is good, but it's so difficult to handle all of the troubles, all of the threats with just a few seconds on the clock, living on the increments. You don't want that, but you also don't want not to use your time wisely, because chances are you're gonna get into a very bad position, and then you're gonna start thinking, but it would be too late. So I don't want you to get into such a situation. He offers me a draw. Somehow today everybody wants to offer me a draw. I never accept a draw, by the way, because I don't get the point. Like, it's an interesting position. Anything can happen. We both can win, but oh, now I realize my mistake. I could have played rook h1 first, bringing my rook over, and then bishop e1. That would be smarter because my rook is not doing here anything productive. Yeah, now queen b6 is still on his agenda, and then that it would attack both pawns, so I should be careful with that. Maybe I play queen to b3, although this queen is a little bit weird, but it does stop this queen b6. It threatens in some variations maybe queen takes b7, although I have to be careful with that. And it threatens some knight jumps. So let me do that. The bad thing is, of course, I never threaten knight d5 because he can just take it back with the queen. So the only attack is that, but why not? I also, wait, here even knight b5 is possible. Rook e7 is a very weird move. I think he made this huge mistake that 99% of the players under 2000 ELO are making. They are thinking only about the most obvious threat. I played queen b3, and yes, he has thought about what's gonna happen after the normal move, queen to b3, like queen b7. What is the threat? The pawn is hanging and blah blah blah. So he has defended it, but he didn't think deep enough. What kind of other threats I have created? What has changed in the position? This is always the question you ask yourself. And what has changed here is that this queen was pinned, or this knight was pinned because of the queen, and now it's not. So unless I'm blundering in something, I can just play knight to b5, winning the exchange. I mean, knight e4 is also an interesting alternative because it's gonna win that pawn, and then this e6 pawn is weak as well. But, I mean, extra exchange is an extra exchange. The knight is protected, the bishop is protected. Notice that all of my... wait. I wanted to say all of my pieces are protected, but that's not the case because the queen is not protected. So you see, I'm also not perfect. I am making the same mistakes as everyone, sometimes, hopefully not as often as everyone, but I haven't calculated the variations long enough. Yes, I have seen that the queen can come back to b6, but I haven't paid enough attention to the fact that my queen on b3 is hanging. It's still not bad for me. I think I have here a good opportunity and I'm gonna win a pawn. But yeah, in that case, probably that move was better. Okay, let's play queen a4. I don't see any other alternative. So the point here is not to stop after just one move. Ideally, you calculate either 3 moves ahead, at least 3 moves ahead, or until there are no continuous creating problems for my queen. It's pinning my knight over and over again, but I can still take that pawn. So either 3 moves ahead, or until both you and your opponent doesn't have any super active opportunities, checks, captures, and threats. That move queen to b6 was more difficult for me to spot because it's not a check, it's not a capture, it's threat strictly speaking, but it's just stopping my idea. So I should have thought about that. I mean, the perfect move for me would be now to play rook c1. Unfortunately, I cannot do that because he's gonna take. I don't have enough defenders. And if I start with bishop d2, preparing that move, I think he's in time to play a6. I play rook c1, he takes, attacking my queen, but wait, I can play rook c6 anyway. If he takes here, I take there, and I win an exchange. Is that winning for me? Because otherwise rook c1 is a huge threat. Maybe he plays something like knight to b6, but that I feel like is kind of an improvement for me. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think he's provoking me to take on a7 and saying that my queen wouldn't be great there, which probably true. Let's see, maybe I can improve that somehow. Like ideally, I would be happy to play queen a5 once he goes back to play knight takes a7 with a fork. The problem is, though, that he plays b6, immediately attacking my queen. I can play that. Yeah, but it's going into the weird direction. My queen is weird. So again, bishop d2, knight to b6. Queen takes a7, rook c7. Rook c1. He has to play knight c4. And now? And now I at least can grab the second pawn. Yes, I like this move. It creates a lot of problems for my opponent. Those bishops are great because they control all of the penetration squares, so those pieces are not dangerous for me. And this guy is also defending this knight on b5. What? I think my opponent is completely not thinking about my threats. Again, he thought about the most obvious thing, that the bishop was attacking the pawn, but rook c1 was even a bigger threat here, which he didn't thought about at all. And it's the wrong approach. Whenever your opponent makes a move, yes, you have to stop and think about his threats. Not a threat, but all of the threats that he might have. I understand that might be tough, but if you use the same system, checks, captures, and threats, you can use it both for you and for your opponent. Truly, you should use it for both of you. It's going to help you so much because this rook c1 move is a huge threat, something you cannot ignore. Maybe he wants to take... No, wait, this is just a queen for a rook. This move simply loses. And notice that he still has more time than he had in the beginning of the game. This is a poor time management. It's even worse than like getting into the time trouble, because then you at least have learned a lot in the process. You have thought about the alternatives, you have calculated moves, and you can analyze the game afterwards and understand your mistakes. But if you don't spend any time at all, then you're not even learning, you're just basically playing on your instincts. That is of course important, because sometimes you do get into time trouble, and then it's essential to improve your instincts so that you can handle such situations. But you do need to take your time, you do need to think, to learn, to master chess. It's so important. Yeah, now I'm just thinking to take this guy. Okay, he's not even bothering taking my queen back, but that means that I am just a queen up for the rook. I mean, I could have taken, that would be equally good, but I'm just destroying everything. And now he takes time to think. Or actually, even now he doesn't, but it doesn't matter. This whole time, 10 minutes, he can think the entire time right now. It's not going to help because it's too late. So please choose your time wisely when it's really essential. Let's analyze this game, because it's the most important part of your learning process. If you don't analyze, you don't improve your chess. So first of all, the game review here, it's not like you should religiously follow it, but it gives you a good indication of first impression, so to say. So I have 85% of accuracy. I've played for 2350, although these numbers I have heard you don't need to take it seriously because it depends on your rating. It's like not necessarily such a great thing. And now let's dive into the game itself. The game started with the queen's gambit declined, nothing special here, but the moment he played bishop g4, that is where we went out of the theory. I didn't know how to react, and 92, I said, is a very reasonable move, and it is indeed good for white, but the reason why the engine is not so happy about it is that f3 was even stronger here. Although with the same idea to play 92 afterwards. And if I play 92 immediately, then the difference is he can use this momentum to jump in with his knight. I a little bit thought about it, but I didn't think it was problematic, and indeed white is still better. But it was my best option. Nevertheless, he played knight to d7, and now I did play f3, which is very good. What's funny is that here the best move is castles, and that's... In most of the cases, I analyze so many games with the engine, it's true that the best strategy is just to normally continue your development when your opponent is doing something weird. I have noticed it so often. You don't try to like punish him immediately unless it's something obvious like his piece is hanging or something like that. But otherwise, he's doing something weird, he's wasting time. So the best way to prove him wrong is not to do the same, right? And to improve your position, develop all of your stuff as fast as possible so that you are ready to attack. Yet, after castles, the best move is knight to f4, which is exactly what I did in the first place, so this difference is very subtle. He played g5, now I'm taking and playing bishop g6, all of that is correct. Bishop f2, also very good, but here I made a mistake. I played the move queen to c2. It felt logical to me to defend this bishop and develop my queen at the same time. And that is fine, I'm better there. But even much stronger is to play bishop to c2 back, and then I'm ready for queen to d3, bringing the queen to g6. That would be a huge threat, like basically swapping those two pieces around, and the queen would be much more dangerous for him. Anyway, I played queen to c2, and then I brought my bishop back, and then I started to launch this attack here, and that was reasonable. Takes is not the best, I could have taken it. But that wasn't that easy for me to understand. And then castles, like not allowing him to exchange those pawns. Basically, the only difference is that my pawn is on e3 instead of d4. I mean, even now I don't understand why it's better for me, because my d4 pawn, I thought it's controlling a lot of important squares. For example, this e5 pawn is never possible. But yeah, the best was to do that. Instead, I exchanged that stuff and then I castled. Again, the right move I assume was d takes c or even queen to d2, which is, yeah, quiet move. And the reason why queen d2 was great, because after c4 I would have squares to go for my bishop. But I thought c4 is not really reasonable, because that's gonna block this rook. I mean, to continue the attack you would need something like that, but I thought that is pretty slow. Okay. Anyway, that was the best, but here I am again having a huge initiative. And king b1, remember that move? I said it's such a good prophylaxis, and that's indeed the best move in the position. Bishop e1 is also the best, so this part of the game I played really good. a3, queen b3 wasn't the best. Knight d5 is working, wow! I was thinking about that, but I thought it's never a good idea because he can take. But now, like, this rook is hanging and this bishop is hanging. Yes, just winning a piece here. So you have to believe in yourself. This is a very important lesson to learn out of this combination. Of course, you always start with the most active opportunities, which this knight xd5 is. It's a capture. But you have to continue the variation. I kind of stopped in a moment where I saw this rook takes, and yes, I can take, but then my knight is hanging. I forgot that I'm actually attacking both of those pieces, and this is completely winning position. So please, always and always try to calculate, that's exactly what I said, at least 3 moves forward, or until you and your opponent don't have any more super active opportunities. Yeah, unfortunately I have missed that chance, yet my position is still completely winning, especially after this move rook to c7. And here I missed another incredible chance. I'm not sure, I hope you have seen it during the game. I wasn't even thinking about that. I somehow was focused on that move or that move. And by the way, knight b5 is the second. Yeah, it's even a great move according to the game review engine, but knight a4 was the best because this queen is trapped. It has 0 moves. This is incredible. It didn't even cross my mind that I can win the queen. Of course, that was obvious only thanks to the stupid move rook c7. But now he has this pin, and I could have played bishop b4, which was the best, but okay, queen a4 is also good enough. Yeah, basically everything is winning. a4, bishop b4, f4. I don't understand why you would play f4. Anyway, queen a4, queen to c6, and now bishop d2 was a very good move because it creates so many problems for the opponent. He played that. You see that it gets a good sign, a great sign of a great move. But the problem is, in a bad position, all of the moves are bad. So you should take those indications with understanding that the engine just does not understand the difference. It's actually completely losing, as after rook c1. It's even not the best move because you have queen a6. Yes, because once I take it, it's with a check. You see how many new details about the position you learn once you analyze with the engine. So I recommend you do that after every single move you play. And even a better move was just queen to a7. And then the rook is hanging and rook c1 is coming. Yeah, that makes sense. But in the game, I just took everything, and that was all she wrote for my opponent. But I hope you have learned so much out of this instructive game, and you have now the complete thinking system to beat everyone under 2000 ELO. To dive even deeper into my method of thinking to make your chess so much easier and to finally reach your chess goals, I have prepared an entire playlist over here where I explain all of my decisions from start to finish. That's gonna make you such a strong chess player instantly.